The Grand Chess Tour is decided. Mike Klein and I make our picks for the 2016 Player of the Year. Spoiler alert, it wasn't Magnus Carlsen. And a professional checkers player wins the World Rapid Chess Championships. 2016, what a crazy year it was. We take a look back and review all the best and worst moments. And of course, we wish all of you a happy new year. ChessCenter, hoping for a 2017 with far less blunders than we made this year. A lot of good things happened in the chess world in 2016. What were our top moments? Here to start things off at number 5 is women's FIDE master Alexandra Botez.
Chess is beginning to establish itself as an esport. With the latest Grandmaster Blitz battles on Chess.com, the last stream with Magnus Carlsen and Nakamura was one of the most watched streams of chess history, and we even broke number 3 on Twitch TV.
Absolutely. At number 4, we're going to give it to an individual. Reigning U.S. women's champion Nazi Pekizi was outspoken in her opinions about FIDE's decision to put the Grand Prix in Tehran. Regardless of your feelings on the issues that came up, she did a lot to bring positive attention to the game, women's rights, and women playing chess in general.
In number 3, Wesley So won the Grand Chess Tour, and after the London Chess Classic, he broke 2,800. So we're starting to think he might be establishing himself as the next threat to the throne.
Who knows? He has a bright future ahead of him for sure. Speaking of bright futures, the USA now has maybe a dynasty building. They get number 2 because they won Olympic gold for the first time in 40 years, and with so many strong and young players, the future is bright.
Number 1 obviously goes to Magnus Carlsen for defending his title and coming back after a loss to Karyakin, leading to a really exciting World Championship game and finale.
Nothing like winning in a tiebreak playoff, nothing like our best list of 2016, and we will be reviewing the worst moments soon. Peter Dockers joins us live from on-site at the World Rapid and Blitz Championships in Doha, Qatar. The World Rapid Championship has just come to an end, and he has all the storylines. Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, absolutely impressed by your Qatar pronunciation, by the way. That's actually perfect. Yeah, I'm here standing only an hour basically after the Rapid Championship was wrapped up, and well, I'm going to write that today Qatar is Planet Chucky, because it is Vasily Ivanchuk, now 47-year-old Ukrainian chess legend who won the tournament. Actually, he tied for first place together with Magnus Carlsen and Alexander Grishuk, but he had the best tiebreak. That was the average rating of the opponents, and yeah, a great result for Chucky, who is of course still very popular. He never got to become world champion in classical chess. He does have a World Blitz title, and now he won the Rapid.
Exciting chess was also played on the women's side of things. How did the final results stand there?
Yeah, well, in the women's tournament, actually, it was a very different situation, because there we had one player who was dominating the field from start to finish, and that was Anna Muzichuk. She won a point ahead of Alexandra Kostyniuk, and actually, the women actually played only 12 rounds instead of 15. So, actually, a round before the men or the open section finished, Muzichuk had already clinched her title.
With the good comes the bad. We take a look back at the year of 2016 and review some of the things maybe we wish hadn't happened. Alexandra, go ahead and kick things off.
For number 5, we have Hou Yifan, 4 times women world champion with over an 100-point lead on top of any other female player in the world. She decided to not play in the Women's Grand Prix as a way of protesting FIDE. Regardless of her reasons and whether you agree with them, she will be missed, and it will be sad to not have the world champion there to defend her title.
Agreed. Speaking of being sad, many chess websites were sad about Aegon's decisions to block the live transmission of moves and own the broadcast rights. Regardless of what ended up happening, it led to a whole bunch of legal drama and some bad controversy for the world of chess.
For number 3, we have FIDE and the Chess Grand Tour not playing nice. They have not been able to cooperate on circuits and on dates, so there's been a lot of controversy surrounding this, and we'll see what happens in 2017.
Certainly a black eye for professional chess, and speaking of black eyes, Kirsan Ilyumzhinov continues to be not the best symbol. This year, FIDE was attacked for financial reasons. Are they going bankrupt? Kyrgyzstan is not even allowed in the U.S. due to sanctions by the U.S. Treasury, no less. So with the officialdom on top of the chess world getting so much negative general media attention, it doesn't look good for the chess world.
And speaking of losses for the chess world, in 2016, we had a lot of chess players who passed away, and we wanted to dedicate part of this Chess.com in their memory, so we're going to list these players at the end of the episode.
The London Chess Classic came to a close, and with it, the longest running event of 2016, that being the Grand Chess Tour, reached its exciting conclusion. Here to tell us all about it is, of course, FIDE Master Mike Klein.
Well, Danny, no real big surprises. Wesley So had a commanding lead in the year-long series, and win the series he did. He also won the London tournament itself with 6 out of 9. Really came down to the opening round when he beat Nakamura, the only man that could have even mathematically caught him for the Grand Chess Tour. He went on to beat the 2 lowest-rated players of the event, Adams and Topalov, who just had a horrendous event. So got on his plane to London to come back home with $175,000 in his pocket.
I hope he remembered to check his baggage. Now, with that information and that victory, does that make Wesley So the hands-down best player of 2016?
Yeah, it may just be. I mean, let's look at the alternatives. Nakamura had a great start to the year with a couple tournament wins, but then fizzled. Caruana got as close as he's ever been to Carlsen, but only won a couple of events like the U.S. Championship. Vachier Lagrave was almost impossible to beat until the London Chess Classic. Now, I know Magnus won the overall world championship, and he also won in Bilbao, but let's look at Wesley So's CV for 2016. He crossed 2,800 for the first time. He's on his peak rating. He won both classical events in the Grand Chess Tour. He also double medaled in Baku, winning top prize on third board and the team gold medal. So I think when you look at the entire body of work, the player of the year is Wesley So.
I can't agree more. Of course, all of the players you mentioned worthy of the honorable mention you gave them, but Wesley So had a fantastic year, and I'm sure great things are going to come from him in 2017.
They say New York City is a city that never sleeps, and after this move, Sergei Karyakin's dreams have been haunted forever. Queen h6 check is a beautiful final shot. The point is after king takes h6, while rook h8 checkmate is on the board. After g takes h6, the other rook comes in, swoops in with a mate of its own, ending the world championship.
Nothing like a queen sack there to take the world title, but if we're talking best queen sacks of the year, Timur Rajabov's game from Doha, the World Rapid and Blitz, just might take the cake. It starts with the ho-ho-ho queen sack on the H-file, and after bishop takes, we see the 2 bishops and rook get jiggy with it like something we haven't seen since Big Willie Styles' video. And after rook f6, you see that the mating net is on. In fact, his opponent, Alexander Bortnik, was kind enough to let the mate get played on the board. We haven't seen things get this nasty since the sacrificial assault of 1792, Robert.
Well, we went from a sacrificial assault into a more technical maneuver here with queen to f4 by Levan Aronian. The point is, though, the knight on a5 is hanging. Queen takes b8 is the first sacrifice. And after rook takes b8, rook c8 comes in with check. The queen is forced to come back to defend the back rank, but after rook takes queen, rook takes rook, knight to c6, it's all over. The final point is that the rook d1 check, king g2, the rook actually does not defend because knight to b4 cuts it off. And instead, had the rook saved the back rank, well, knight e7 check. The knight is immune because the pawn queens with the back rank mate. And after king to f8, well, then knight to c8 blocks the rook from its defense of the b8 square.
So rare to see a knight outplay a rook like that in the open board, but what goes around comes around, and Richard Rapport gave Aronian a little bit of a taste of his own medicine by sacrificing a rook in this moment right now. Rook to h1, a shot out of nowhere. The point is, after king takes, bishop takes d4, White cannot just capture back due to the check on h4 and the mating net that ensues with knight to g4. Because of that, Aronian submitted and played the move f3, but it's pretty easy for everyone to see that if Rapport can get away with a free rook sacrifice by retreating the bishop, he was going to go on to win this game just as he did.
Yeah, and coming in at number 1, the best move of 2016 is this shot by Wen Yang. Rook takes f7, an assault coming out of nowhere. The point is after king takes f7, rook f1 check, the king is forced back to e8, and things only heat up from here. The knight captures on e5, the knight comes to e4. The pieces are entering the center of the board. Queen c7, knight f4. This knight is heading for d5 square. After bishop c8, here comes the final onslaught. Knight f6 check, king d8, queen d5 check, queen d6, and I don't know, Danny, this might be illegal in China, but bishop takes c5, queen takes d5 allows bishop b6 checkmate.
Last I checked, sacrificial assault was illegal in all Chinese states. And with it, though, Wen Yang, he brings down the hammer, takes our move of the year with this awesome attack. We'll see you on the other side of things for the worst moves in just a moment, Robert. Like any self-respecting chess model, Peter Dockers took time to change shirts before bringing us the results on the World Blitz Championship. Peter, how did the final leg of things in Doha finish?
Well, with a thrilling final round, actually. It was a total of 21 rounds played over 2 days. And after round 18, 19, and 20, Magnus Carlsen was in the lead, half a point ahead of Sergei Karyakin. But then in the final round, Peter Leko helped Carlsen to a draw. And Karyakin defeated Baduri Obava. Karyakin and Carlsen tied for first. And then, based on the average ELO of the opponents, it was actually Karyakin who won the tournament on tiebreak. So there was no playoff. And Karyakin, in the end, he got a world title.
How dejected was Magnus Carlsen at his lack of opportunities to play in a playoff, having now tied for first in both the Rapid and Blitz, but missing out because of tiebreaks?
Well, he knew, of course, in advance that there was no tiebreak, so he kind of accepted that, I presume. But he was very devastated that Radek Wojtaszek missed several wins in his game with Karyakin in the penultimate round. And then was also somewhat dejected that he couldn't get anything more than a draw, of course. And yeah, at the closing ceremony, when all the players got together for a group photo and they had some fireworks actually inside the playing hall, Carlsen just didn't like standing there, so he left rather quickly with his flowers and his medal.
Well, disappointing results for Magnus in Doha, but I'm sure he can't be too disappointed about his 2016. Magnus Carlsen falls to Sergei Karyakin on tiebreaks, and the World Blitz Championship is over. Thank you, Peter. Chosen admittedly for its significance and how it launched these two players in opposite directions of the Grand Chess Tour, Robert Hess is going to explain Veselin Topalov's terrible move here versus Wesley So.
Well, whatever hair Veselin Topalov has left, he must have ripped out after this inexplicable blunder, rook to e5. Instead, had he played queen takes c5, he would have regained the pawn he'd previously sacrificed. But after rook to e5 is in the game, Wesley So went pawn to b4, cementing a passed pawn on the queen side and allowing him to win this game quite easily.
And go on to win the Grand Chess Tour quite easily, he did. But speaking of making things easy, Magnus Carlsen did it a couple times in 2016 for his opponent Hikaru Nakamura, but none more significant than right here, where he just flat out blundered. The move knight takes d5 loses a piece, as any 1200 can see after knight takes d5. Well, if you take on d2, white takes back to defend the knight, or if you take the knight back, as Magnus Carlsen did, oopsie poopsie, the bishop on b4 falls, and with it, so did Magnus Carlsen in this game.
Yeah, and clocking in at number 3 here is Fabiano Caruana. I hate to do this to my friend, but you have to win a winning rook and bishop versus rook position. He played the move bishop f2 first, which, yes, is still winning, but he did not have enough time. Rook b2 instead was the quickest way to a win, because after rook to h3, then bishop to f2, black does not have a useful move, and this rook and bishop ending is theoretically winning in just a few more moves.
And because of this draw, he ended up effectively handing the chance at the world title to Sergei Karyakin in the candidates. Moving on to number 2, Shakir Mamedyarov had a chance to defend his rook on b1. First, he played the move queen g5. That makes sense. Nothing wrong with that, threatening to get an eye for an eye. But after rook to c8, he simply forgot, and this is harder to figure out than the pronunciation of his own name. When he played the move c5, the queen just took on b1, and he resigned on the spot.
Well, at least he had the opportunity to resign on the spot in this worst blunder of 2016. Ivan Cheparinov went king to b4 in this position, and after queen to a8, Pintala Harikrishna is delivering a checkmate next move. There's nothing like giving yourself a self-mate to spawn into the new year of 2017.
Yeah, but he did get to be featured as number 1 in terms of our blunders from 2016, so you got to give Cheparinov that. Hopefully this list left the fans excited for the blunders they're going to make in the year to come. The boys are back in town. It's time trouble time. Mike, the clock is ticking. Are you ready?
I'm not sure if my seat is hot, but it's warm.
The Grand Chess Tour announces the universal rating system designed to be an alternative, if not a competitor, to FIDE. But why will this succeed where Garry Kasparov and the PCA failed in the past?
I think it's too early to predict success or failure. We really have to know the algorithm. Specifically, will the classical events be weighted more than the rapid? Until we know that, it's too early to say. But staying with Kasparov, he just won a 9-year-old case in the European Court of Human Rights. Do you think when all is said and done, he'll be better known for his politics than his chess?
It would probably take something as massive as actually dethroning Putin in Russia for that to be the case. He's still considered by many to just be the Michael Jordan of chess, regardless of his political bravado. Now, Antarctica and Australia are the only two continents not competing in the inaugural season of the Pro Chess League on Chess.com. But has Mike Klein visited both?
Well, Danny, I just did an 18-hour stint in Sydney earlier this year, and my boat from Punta Arenas leaves right after this interview, so ask me in a week. Grandmaster Valentina Gunina won a rapid event in London against a host of stronger male grandmasters. Is this the singular event for women's chess in 2016?
You know, I can't think of any greater accomplishment, perhaps besides Judith Polgar's awesome performance as a host of the World Chess Championship. But sticking with rapid, the relatively unknown Punta Celia slays both Magnus Carlsen and Hikaru Nakamura at the rapid portion in Doha. Are we shocked by these two great players not playing well in rapid in Qatar?
I am. For anyone that watched all 3 matches they each played in our Grandmaster Blitz Battle series, I wouldn't have expected them to lose a game in faster time controls. Finally, Danny, Dan Yeager and Justin Tan, 2 unheralded players, won the very first Chess.com Crazy House Championship. Here's an idea. Would we ever add variants titles to our site?
Those two would both be Bughouse and Crazy House Grandmasters, and I think I can see 3 Czech Grandmaster in your future, Mike Kleins.